Welcome back and welcome Legacy to the playoffs. My goodness. I mean, definitive spawn. It's like we're back in week 10.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's the thing about this Legacy lineup is the more things change, the more things stay the same, Nick. And Legacy are very good team fighters. And I was making the comment to you that both of these drafts were fairly meta drafts, right? Like we have three or four mid to late game champions with a bridge on each. You know, you got a Xin Zhao going up against a Lee Sin and a Galio on the Legacy side.
Mm-hmm.
Except when you look at these drafts, one of these drafts suits one of the teams decidedly more. Like the Chiefs draft is a great draft on paper, but I don't think suits the style that we're used to seeing out of Thean and Clear. They're used to playing the dive buddy comps, whereas the Legacy comp is super meta, and it looks like that it just suits them down to the T. So I raise the question to you: like, is Legacy versus Chiefs actually a skill discrepancy at this point? Or is one team just a much better late game team and one team way more comfortable on a meta that is just absolutely flown by?
And do you actually just believe it's a meta situation? Like if the situation was reversed and Legacy are playing on champs that they're not particularly comfortable with, do you think that they don't have the skills to be able to take it down? Because the way they play the game as well, it's not just the meta. Like they you were talking about how they allow for the Chiefs to set up a lot. They go and take their resources because they know that they'll just be able to come in and punish.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, I've said absolutely so many times. I completely agree with you, Nick.
Absolutely.
You're a very smart man. No, the thing is, right, is that Legacy just don't play the game in a rush. We've seen that they are like one of the only teams that is actually willing to give objectives on Summoner's Rift, right?
Mm.
And so what they do is they actually will set up the proper time before an objective, 30 to 45 seconds. The Chiefs were sacking hard in side lanes and other areas to actually be early to these Rift Heralds and early to the Dragons. And I know that if you set up really well versus Legacy and you don't make a mistake, they actually just give it to you. It's like golf clap, like, good job, here's your Rift Herald. Sure, you lost 600 gold elsewhere because, we crashed a big wave top lane or we took a turret or something like that, but they actually weren't challenged. But the problem is that the Chiefs were sacking, they were setting up, and then they were going for really dumb engages. And that third Ocean Dragon was like the stupidest engage I think I've ever seen. They just overreached so hard onto a Lee Sin that was never in danger. And then they just give you enough rope to hang yourself. Like, they're a really frustrating team to play against for sure.
And we liked what we saw out of Katsuri yesterday, but you weren't keen on the item build for him today.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that in any other game, that's a very standard item build. You're going to go Blade of the Ruined King into Rage Blade into probably Hurricane as your third item. When the team is playing triple divers, I think that you need life cut much earlier, and you can't build life cut after Ginsu's because it just feels bad. So generally what I would want to see is I would want to see Bork into Hurricane, which is Hurricane is 600-ish gold cheaper than Rage Blade. Then you can pick up your healing cut, and then you can actually build Bloodthirster super early, and it's a DPS loss, but it's a huge survivability gain. And you just are kind of a life steal tank if you've played other games that have kind of those drain tank mechanics. You do a lot of damage to tanks just through your blight spread. You have great utility in your kit. You obviously have that healing cut for the Yuumi and the Aatrox. And you can actually survive. Whereas his damage, like, might have been theoretical highest DPS if he played perfectly, but I just don't see how he played perfectly versus Triple Diver and Yuumi. That's an impossible game plan for me to execute.
I am both listening intently to your cogent analysis.
And also reading Twitch chat.
Loki Cat says, yeah, absolutely, is easily the most spoken phrase in the OPL. And then Best In says a close second is, 100%.
Well, the thing is I can talk about this quickly. So there is like this, like, kind of, it's the yes and thing, right? That you get from improvisation. When you're talking to people like yourself and Skimmy Nick, where you've pre-prepared points, it is very difficult to like not be affirmative when you pick up, because most of it is actually just my point. So I will try and find a different word, Twitch chat, but it's just so I can make my host and my co-caster sound smart.
It's no, I mean that it from my perspective, it's very satisfying when I hear you go, yes, what you said was 100% correct. But generally, if you really listen closely and really pay attention, the yeah, absolutely is at least 50% of the time followed by a total pivot of what the question is. So it's like you can set up the question and go, okay, so this is what I think we should talk about. Yeah, and I go, so what do you think of Katsuri? Yeah, absolutely. Now the thing with Legacy is that they're just the best team in the OPL, and you go, oh right, okay, so you don't want to talk about that at all. This is just your way of I mean, it's like dealing with a child, right? You just, I'll give you a positive affirmation, and then I'll make sure that we're just going to talk about what I want to talk about.
I completely agree with everything you're saying, Nick. And for that case, I want to get back to the game right now. What we did see towards the end of the game, though, is that Chiefs Chiefs are still very good late game team fighters. If I put my caster hat back on for a second and actually break down that last dragon fight, that was an outright 5v5, and they actually used Ornn in his assassin capability. You know, we talk about him as a tank, but he does a boatload of damage, and they blew up Raze. And if you're able to get into the back line, I think that you can do damage against this Legacy lineup, because they are going to generally run double damage dealers. This game, it was, the Aphelios as well as the top laner. Top lane was playing Aatrox. Galio's not really in the comp for his damage. He's more of an initiation follow-up. So I think that fight gave me a little bit more hope than the first three, because the first three fights of the games were just kind of washes. Legacy just absorbed the first initiation. Thien doesn't look comfortable on Ornn still. And then, they just blew them up. That last fight, it kind of gave me a glimmer of hope that the Chiefs might be able to pick up a game in this series.
And so then what do the Chiefs do if, like you said, that Legacy are finding themselves not only taking champs that they're comfortable on, but champs that are good in the meta right now, and they were pretty much in control of that game the entire time. What do Chiefs do for game 2 with this knowledge?
Teams like Sin, teams like Order last year, teams like Legacy in 2018 were really good at one thing, and that's saying, stuff the meta. We're going to play what we've had success on previously. And I think that the way Chiefs actually win this, if they truly believe they can win this series, is they actually have to break the meta within the best of 5. And I spoke about this yesterday in the Order versus Avant series, where the meta looked like it started where everyone wanted to play tanks. All the best tanks were being banned away, but Maokai was being seen. We had top laners picking up really tanky dudes. And then by the end of it, Avant just kept picking earlier in early game and kind of forced Order to play this heavy skirmish, no tank style game, because you don't want to get blown out in the first 15 minutes in the game if you're playing purely scaling, right? So I think what you actually have to do, next game, you have to go super early game. Pick an Akali, pick Diana in the mid lane, pick something that's going to fight really, really heavy. Pick a Pyke bottom lane if that's what you've got. And then try and gain enough respect from Legacy that they have to drop something like a Yuumi. Or they have to drop the Galio. They have to drop something that's better late game. And then if you get enough respect in back-to-back games, maybe you've bent the meta enough that they're only running double front line or single front line. And maybe there's actually a way that you can play your game plan a little bit more successfully. Because right now we know if it goes to late game, if this series goes 35-minute plus 3 games in a row, I guarantee Legacy has won 3 games in a row.
We said that this is like week 10 where Legacy took our Chiefs, but this is not like week 10 because this is a best of 5. So we've had the temperature check for game 1. These two teams have seen each other in this playoff scenario, and in the same way as in-game, it's now time for Chiefs to take something reactionary from the first game, figure out how to adapt their game plan, and move forward. So excited for game number 2, as you should be as well. Also, just hit me up on Twitter @NickBoy or in the Twitch chat with other most used phrases in the OPL, because now I'm fascinated.
Please don't.
So I feel like I need to know a lot more of them. So please just let me know the things that stand out to you.
Oh, I'm so red.
Split 2, we'll try to stop saying them. All right, it's time for game number 2 this evening. It's Chiefs versus Legacy, game 2, and then it's the Macca's Champ Select.
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.
Strong start for Legacy as we get ourselves into game number 2. Chiefs really looking to try and change things up here in this next draft, you'd imagine, Rusty, because that looked like a trading of objectives, a trading of ideas, but in the end, Legacy just getting the much bigger upper hand there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I knew that was coming. I knew.
You're right.
What should I have expected?
We come into this next game. I think it's very important for Chiefs to try and adapt. I do think that there was a couple of points that Spawn mentioned, and I do want to highlight one of them. It's, Are you playing your style as a team, or are you playing the style of the world right now? And are they just playing too meta? And I think you can get away with that against certain teams. Like, just meta exists for a reason, right? Because it's good. Otherwise, it wouldn't be meta. But is that the way to beat Legacy, who have already proven from this best of 5 alone in a single game that they can just out-team fight you if you're going to pick meta and play team fights. So I think that the Chiefs do need to attack this draft and genuinely look at it and say, what can we do to beat Legacy? Not how do we just beat them at their own game, because that's not going to work anymore already.
What's interesting already, now it flip sides with Legacy having the first pick. They have denied away the Diana. One of the picks that Spawn mentioned could have been a power factor for them to play around with. The Karma ban still stays relatively prevalent here. And the Chiefs will deny that all away. We've seen Tally have so many fantastic performances on it. Every single time he's on the champion, he's always getting multiple knockups. Now the Jarvan denied away as well again. I feel like that might be a consistent ban throughout this series, as we've seen how proficient Legacy are, combining that with the likes of an Equalizer on Rumble too.
Yeah, and the red side Ornn takeaway here from the Chiefs is interesting. You know, they were able to pick that one up on the blue side when they were first pick. They don't want to give that one to Topoon. He's such a diverse player right now. It really is hard to beat Topoon's skill in the top lane 1v1, just because he can play things like the Soraka, or did even like weeks after people stopped playing it. He's got the really good Aatrox that you just saw from him, but his tanks are nasty. So it's just so hard to deal with him. And so taking away some of the best free pick champions to make Legacy's draft just a little bit more challenged, I do like that.
Yeah, Topoon's been the player on Legacy that's played the most. He's played at least 4 more champions than his teammates, so he's very flexible in his role to be a tank, carry, or an enchanter, like we saw him go for the Lulu and Soraka on a fair few occasions during the regular split. Now, what's interesting is the fact that both teams are just going to reveal that they want this high priority onto those AD carries. We obviously spoken at great lengths as to how proficient Raze and Katsuri are and how much of a big factor they are in this team. And Croc is going to say, this time I want the Lee Sin. The Zinzal was an idea. It wasn't able to find as much value as we were perhaps looking to achieve, but this is a pick that I can really display my mechanics on and get the ball rolling with.
Yeah, he's actually just 1v9 games as Lee Sin, so it's nice to see him back on the pick. It's much more Croc. You've gone for the Varus again here. You would expect the Tahm Kench to be seen, and I highly doubt it will be taken away by Legacy unless they've got a trick up their sleeve, This early priority on Galio doesn't need to change. It was proven to work, and the question beyond that is, I don't think you can go for a Tahm Kench in a Galio comp and say this is the perfect comp, right? You want to have something a little bit more aggressive if possible. Yuumi actually couples nicely with it because of the last chapter, the ultimate, rooting everyone in place, slowing them, setting them up. Aphelios is the same. When you've got the Graviton, your long range engage and AoE ultimate is valuable for the team. The biggest thing, though, is the last remaining 2 members in this draft, because we know this 3 works. The Lee Sin's already been removed and has to change. And you expect potentially a blind pick for Topoon, maybe for the comp, and I do wonder where he'll go.
Well, Legacy get the dream start with the 3 most important picks that found all the value in that last game there, and obviously very flexible into how they can adjust it with those last 2 picks, as you say. Senna is going to be the response for that supporting role to couple with the Varus, and we'll have a nice little chance at stacking up those souls to be a very much relevant factor scaling into the late game to match what the Yuumi can bring, but we want more aggression, right? We want more things to really assist this Lee Sin when he jumps into the fray of things.
Yeah, you want to see what was working for them yesterday, which is playing around your jungler's strengths, but not making him carry. He can get vision control if you win your lanes, if you're aggressive, if you fight for the 2v2s. If your solo laners are teleporting back to lane because they keep building leads, that's fine. That's the way the Chiefs operate. Croc then is the linchpin or the hinge with which they continue to succeed, and he's got one of his better champions for it.
Well, Legacy have denied that second crucial pick with the Akali taken away, so Tien's going to be forced to dive into other options again as to what he can look to try and use to, create some of that space. Set denied away, and then after that you start to get in 1-1-1 picks, very sparing, performances on the likes of Riven's, Fiora's, Camille's and Aurelia's. So we wonder where that direction goes. Aatrox otherwise is only other most played champion this split. So going to be interested to see what CL's got lined up here to sort of respond, given that they've got to be the first ones to reveal their hand.
And the Olaf and the Trundle bands away from Babip, I really like them actually. One, Olaf is an odd combo that does work quite effectively with the Galio. Trundle kind of similar. His team comp right now, being a Varus and a Senna, have very low mobility and are all about using their crowd control to lock you down. Getting rid of the Pillar and the Olaf ultimate are very crucial things there. So the second ban phase, very nice here from the Chiefs, waiting for that fourth pick to see how they continue to round out that composition. Because with low mobility, someone has to stand in front.
And how cool is it the fact that they've denied so many mobility picks and picks that can provide mobility to your team? Obviously, Azir, fantastic at that, another scaling champion. So Chiefs are saying, look, hey, if you want to play that late game style, we want to match you and have that power to bring into those subsequent team fights. We were imagining it would have been the Aatrox, but they are going to save that pick for Tien so we can find it to be as desirable as possible. Now we see what Legacy have to round out this 4-5-man squad. We saw what these first 3 picks did in the first game. What do they look to try and use here? Do they want more damage? Do they want more protection?
I mean, it could still be the Aatrox. I think they're going to take more time to think about their top lane matchup. In response to that Aatrox, something like a Gangplank is available from Chief's side, and then they could actually play the approach of just kiting constantly, outranging them, and just being able to win that. So Nidalee throws a spanner into the works here compositionally on Legacy's side. It's not going to be about the all-in engage style that it was. They can, but it's about, farming the jungle faster, getting leads through jungle positioning, getting some vision control, and the combo from the Galio isn't necessarily a feature in this game. It's just a Galio pick to keep the rest of his team alive, and it does do decent work into someone like an Azir if the ultimate hits allies.
Well, more shields, more heals, more protection is what obviously the Nidalee provides with the mobility the kit has. The final pick will be that Camille, so Tien is going to dive deep into that champion pool that he has and find himself with another option to give him that scaling and to give him that ability to match them in the late game. That was, Spawn's call. If you take it to the late game, we feel like Legacy win it 9 times out of 10. You're looking at this one here. Are there any sort of glaring nightmares of it feels like it's the Croc show, or do you feel like they have 3 strong, reliable, engaging champions here to really alleviate the stress and the weight on his shoulders?
It's compositionally, it's just odd. You've got Varus who can engage with his ultimate. Camille can engage as well, but usually needs some backup. And Senna is like a soft engage tool as well, has the capabilities there. So even Azir sec. So it's not like they're wanting for any kind of engage tools in a vacuum. It's just that they don't have the tank. They don't have someone to stand directly in front and be that hard engage source. It does feel like much more of a, I want to say 1-4 comp. Where you'll have Camille get ahead and just sit in the side lane and continue to snowball the game out, break some structures, and then flank if a team fight were to happen. But try and teleport early, start the fight off and assassinate someone before the response is there from Legacy's side. And then it's more about like if the fight happens, like let's just say Legacy starts coming towards them. I don't think that's a bad thing for the Chiefs because Azir by design can stand with Katsuri and Korea CK and protect them. Use that Emperor's Divide, separate the enemy team from him. Someone like a Galio can't hit that taunt then. And the damage from those 3 is overwhelming as the game goes.
Well, the game is going. It is game number 2 here in this best-of-5 series between Legacy and Chiefs, with Legacy currently leading 1-0, as you see on your screen right there. The reminder being that one of these teams will get themselves a secured spot in that grand final to claim themselves the champion of Split 1. Whereas the loser in this occasion will drop down to the lower bracket for a chance in the gauntlet to run it all the way back. Very interesting concept. I was actually told by Carbon when I was speaking to him the other day that this is like the first time you've had a lower bracket in many, many years.
First time ever, I think, that the lower bracket has existed in that you get a second chance. Double Elim, I don't think has ever existed in the OPL's history before. So it is super exciting to watch. These types of matchups you don't get to see until the finals. So the first time we've got to experience this kind of matchup, and it's super exciting to really watch it unfold. Babip also, while we were watching the jungle start on that one, Skimmy has gone for something a little bit unconventional or different and has gone for the trap start and Raptor camp first.
to try and accelerate is clear on the red side of the map. Nidalee's, if they can, will always go for either a leash start at the red or get the blue buff, if possible, because that just helps their clear by a ridiculous amount. The faster you get to 3, the faster you can healthily clear the rest of the camps, but so far so good for him.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? We've seen back-to-back Nidalee performances where you think, oh no, that's not a desirable start to their jungle clear, but it hasn't really impaired them as much as we would have imagined. Top side, we've already seen punch-ons going from the level 1 mark, both letting each other know that, hey, we're not afraid to make things happen here. Very curious to see if we're going to see a sort of close, cautious start to this game, or if it is going to be a lot more explosive this time around. You can already see Vision being very assertive here, especially out of CK there, getting onto those golems.
Camille always wants to trade early. Anytime your passive shield is available, if you can get the auto attacks off, then you can trade pretty aggressively yourself. Aatrox's cooldowns are also pretty high early game. And committing to one of those spells as a trade when that passive shield's there means you tend to lose those trades, which is what you would start to see from them. Now, that does shift a little bit. Aatrox, I would always define as a level 6 champion, but really it's a cooldown reduction champion as Babip dodges the flash Q.
He looks for the flash, does not find it. Gets the Tempest down, but is unable to connect. Obviously, spotting out Babbitt being so low. Clear finding Prior was able to respond and would have been able to assist had the fight broken out, but already pop shots, warning shots really, from this Chiefs lineup.
Yeah, no jungle camps besides the Scuttle Crab is available though for Croc to take, so it's not going to be an invade afterwards. He's actually going to smite the Scuttle and look for a gank top. That kind of goes against the flow of what you would expect, but Topoon, always the safe player, knows that he could be there. And so it's just going to be double Scuttle in the end with a bit of extra time spent by Croc looking at the chance.
Same start to this game as you're finding Chiefs finding priority in the bottom side of this map. This obviously gives Legacy so much time to look to set up freezes or continue to build up CS leads to get those crucial items that they need. That was obviously the major factor in the game beforehand, but it's how Chiefs handle these responses of trading objectives, and if they are able to find, desirable situations for when they set up, a condition of 2 turrets falling down, if they can actually threaten a response at a Legacy rather than always being at a numbers disadvantage.
So what are we seeing so far in this game, Skibby? We're 4 minutes in, and we're seeing top lane building back, crashing towards Topoon's turret. He had to be safe because of the Lee Sin pressure. Bot lane pushing towards Raze and Isle's turret as well. They have a hard time dealing with the 2 ranged champions poking constantly, especially early. And mid lane being a melee champion against the Azir, Azir often gets that push off. And so with all of this priority that exists, Croc can reset and start to pressure the map aggressively. But first, top.
Top is where the action is at right now. Topoon is very low. We're going to see a flash forward to make sure that is a first blood that is achieved. Babip was in the area, but the bait just a little bit too much. Babip will take down Tien in the end. And the assist gold will go across.
Yeah, you had to expect a flash there from Tien if you were Topoon, but unfortunately, while he flashes, the damage still connects. And it is just the kill trade with first blood to the Camille, and it's a wave that crashes. I think you'd be very happy with that if you were Tien as a trade.
Teleport comes out as they respawn. Going to be a slight advantage here for Tien as he's got the Sheen in his pocket as Aatrox has rushed towards that Ninja Tebbies.
Frozen wave, though, and does need to be noted. Topoon ensured that it stayed at a freeze. So it's going to be as safe as he possibly can. Lee Sin is on the top side of the map. You can see a million question mark pings on that side. So he is approximately in one of those spots, and they are correct. So trying to hold top lane at bay for the moment, just give the opportunity to reset, get on the map. Babip gets the kill. He'll be closer to his jungle item upgrade first. And we mentioned this yesterday, but Nidalee wants that as fast as possible because the clear speed accelerates ridiculous amounts.
You can see a nice little trade there from Topoon, dropping Tien down to half. And as you say, got to keep your side, or got to keep your jungler down the bottom side. Get level 6, get the ability to then to try and control that river, which is dominated by the Chiefs so far with not only vision but presence to respond to. And the Chiefs bot lane have actually kept this wave at their turret for the meantime. Had actually forced out a response or a recall from Legacy as they look to try and reset. Now joining back in. It's where Babip goes with this.
That was sneaky from Babbitt, but the second he saw Croc on vision running back through mid lane, he's aware and doesn't choose to stay on it. They could have just looked at him and he might have died. A decent amount of damage doing that Drake solo this early as in Italy, but it is the Chiefs that will now be starting this one off. Or not. No, they're going to back away. It's just Scuttle.
Tien threatened at his tower. Tally was in the area, so he can always jump in with a hero's entrance. He's going to get locked in place here as Tien challenges him with the ultimate, and he just gets baited on out. Tapoon with no summoners is unable to assist. Tally jumps in, Bebep in the area, but Chiefs to connect with the kills.
Yeah, tragic, honestly, from Legacy's side going for that dive. Camille actually dodges a ridiculous amount of damage through the use of that ultimate. Raze needs to be careful.
Scary situation in the bot lane there. Root does not connect. He does manage to sidestep and get himself up and healed, but you can see just how much of a good time Senna is having here. Able to poke away and get those stacks up.
Varus is a very high base damage champion as well. If they're both just going to be auto-attack, it's a good time. Top lane in trouble again.
Well, Babbitt has responded. He's babysitting this Aatrox, making sure that his Kimmo cannot find those spikes. Second spear does not connect this time. Tapoon is looking for it. The flash forward. Babbitt swipes, and he kills.
Yeah, at least forces the flash. It was an attempt to cancel the hook shot there from Tapoon using his Q. Knock him up, prevent the follow-through, but sneaks through the wickets there, and Keeper not able to prevent that one from slipping through this time, and so they do at least force a summoner spell in the trade, and they'll get the Drake for it.
Pings going out here from the Chiefs, and well, they may be now on towards that Rift Herald. They're going to be the ones in the driving seat to rotate towards that. But has been this tradition, in this series at least, always a trade taking place. Dragon for the kill on top lane.
Natalia unfortunately suffering through the use of that first ultimate of the game here. Looking towards that play in top lane. So now that decent amount of time is purchased by the Chiefs, because not only do they get the kill and the trade for that, the cooldown very long. And so action on the map is possible, as Babbitt with his complete jungle item and some brown bags on his 4 paws is just being cheeky down in bot lane.
Yeah, keeping eyes on where the jungler may be. As you can see now, Claire will respond to this lane or return with a blue buff, so they'll have an idea that Lee Sin is in the area. But we're not to see that traditional 8-minute rotate towards the top side where the lanes flip and all the priority goes towards that Rift Herald.
So much action happening with these top laners just 1v1ing. Swapping it, I would say, is a very volatile possibility here for either team if they were to try and flip the map, just with the way that these two have been going hard. But Tapoon, again, like, he is such an aware player of the state of the map that if anyone disappears from bot lane, he's probably going to be attuned to them coming top and back away. They're very calculated fights that Tien and Tapoon are taking.
He's done a good job there of obviously managing the wave. He managed to freeze it at this turret, and as you can see from the minimap now, Chiefs are the one to be to make that shot call and say, we actually do want to set our Juro up here now. Everybody off the map, no vision spotted out from a ward, so he's going to be in the blind or in the dark for a fair bit of time now, trying to wonder, well, where are they?
Yeah, but look at him, he's backed away, right? So you can see what the Chiefs are doing. They're doing the Herald. He's now moving towards mid as Camille ults in.
Yeah, they look to collapse on towards Tally, who's forced to flash away from that center cannon. Babip in the area, does not connect with a spear. No retaliation just yet. And Chiefs are definitely in the hot seat, despite the economy being dead even. They are the ones finding the advantages right now.
Yeah, so Camille's now going to take the long trek down to bot lane. Tien just going to try and hold that one. Yuumi and Aphelios are taking turret plates as we speak. The trade's going to happen top side here. Chiefs, probably without hesitation, will summon that Herald and try and break the turret. But the cost is already pretty high on this trade. They may just be regaining tempo that was lost by doing the Herald in the first place by summoning it straight away. So this is not a bad trade from Legacy.
Not a bad trade at all. You can see that Babip is up a fair chunk of gold over his counter matchup in Croc. He's always putting pressure on the map to assist these lanes. And looking to try and get as many turret plates online here to negate what's been achieved in the top lane, as the Rift Herald now secures the first turret of the game.
It's really hard to say who wins that trade, Skimmy. I think getting a second charge here will be nice, but turret plate gold going just to Raze and Isles is two people who really want to get that money as fast as possible. Babu's going to come in here, make sure the tower goes just because he's counting those minions. But like Yuumi getting money, very important. You know, getting that first item completed, having increased heals. It's that point in the game when Yuumi can become overbearing. Aphelios having his first item completed as well, you know, those team fights that come out, the ultimate will be very significant. Whereas the gold was shared between 3 people on the top side of the map. So not as much into the pockets of Katsuri and Korea CK.
You can see what that means, how it's translated. Ours has come back from this fresh shop, and he's one component away, or very, very close to completing that Fiend's Unholy Grail. He's got the Dark Seal online as well, and same with Tally as well in that regard. So they're definitely looking at snowballing this one out and giving themselves a cheap stat boost when this subsequent all-out brawl were to take place. Next Dragon is up in just under a minute, and it has carried on the same flow as Game 1, with teams filling each other out, making trades, but just looking for those first item spikes before anything really happens.
Yeah, there's a lot of safety in the gameplay through this one as well. It's very similar to that last game, and I don't think either team minds too much at the current moment. It's weathering the storm for Legacy, you know, having no priority in 3 of their lanes early, or at least at different moments early, made it quite difficult to navigate if you're Babbitt, but he's farmed fine. He found ganks in the top lane, he's now 2-0, and there's a pretty big Nidalee running around on Summoner's Rift. But for the other side of the coin here as well, Chiefs getting their first items completed, I don't think they'll have any concerns playing slow-paced League of Legends for like up to the first 3 item completion points, honestly, where their scaling can become pretty absurd.
What I find interesting is, you know, given that Babbitt has achieved such an early lead and got these kills under his name, what kind of build do we see come out of him? Is he going to go for, you know, a traditional, like a Lichbane path, for instance, or is he going to go and opt towards a more defensive, you know, protect the Rays, ensure that he has all these resources at his disposal? That's what I'm curious to see, how he uses this advantage he's achieved.
There's some way, yeah, there's different ways to play this, right? You could go the Athene's Unholy Grail route, where your goal is to heal the Yuumi so that she can focus more of her time healing other people, or, you know, just having a double heal composition where you can stand and deliver and protect Raze, and that's totally valid to do if you're Legacy, because Raze is a monster in team fights. The other route, like you mentioned, is the potential of a Lichbane, and I think when you're 2-0 as Nidalee, it'd be rude not to. Let's be honest. It'd be rude not to go the Lichbane and assassinate one of the 3 carries that exist on the opposing side. And, like, let's be honest, it's 5 carries. If you're fed, you go Lichbane, you can carry the game just by being fed yourself as Nidalee. So I'd like to see the Lichbane. Still probably wants to put some priority towards the Zhonya's Hourglass, however, to survive if they engage onto you.
Does have that stopwatch in his inventory already. With the Salt Boots completed, still very flexible in what route he decides to go, but all the while, Legacy are the ones to achieve that second Drake of the game, as we now have ourselves a Mountain Rift, which is going to be quite nice for this climate. A lot of damage, however, in the mid lane. Chain of Corruption does go out, zoning away to Poon, who takes a lot of damage from that piercing arrow. Zone away from the turret. No response so far from Legacy.
No, Raze is now going to walk down. He's going to show himself on that killed Scuttle Crab as well. He's going to clear some vision on the way. So they will look to defend this turret. It's also going to be half of the turret's health before they even get here to defend that one. It just means that they don't have to expend the teleport from Topu. Teleport being forced in that situation could suck. Yeah, it makes playing the map a little bit harder when your opponent has 2 available themselves. Just weird. I think more than anything else, it's just weird map assignments. You've got a Galio versus Zir bot lane. You know, yeah. It's Aatrox that was holding mid. So yeah, they had to lose half their tower health for this, but they finally put themselves into the correct lane assignments, Legacy, to be able to hold the map.
And speaking of that lane assignments, this is what it's really netted them now. Chiefs are the ones that find those power spikes online quicker. Camille has now just completed the Trinity Force. Blade of Rune King is there as well, but an engage will take place in the bottom lane as Claire sidesteps. Pops at the divides. Will fall down in the end. And Tally says it all as he slams the ground with success.
And this is the most exciting part of the game. It's not exciting anymore. If he recalls, we can see what he purchases. Now 3-0 on that Nidalee. And they do get a pick onto the side lane. This is the one thing that Babip has been doing very well in this game, is side lane threat. He's keeping them humble, you know? If you go to the side lane, Nidalee could be there to take you down, and it makes playing that 1-3-1 much more accessible for Legacy as they get their items on and can start threatening turrets.
Definitely stems the bleeding. As you can see that, you know, Claire having an Ashes Tooth, Blade of Rune King, as I was alluding to, you know, Mikhail's Crucible and the Execution is a very easy path for a center to build into. Quite easy to spread that anti-healing across. They're the ones with the driving seat with that spike. They're now fresh off a shot. They can look to collapse, and yeah, that's what a Lich Bane could potentially look like right there. Deleted there, Rusty.
That's not even a Lich Bane. It's just a Sheen.
It's the making of. That is the making of, and it's gross.
It's only going to get worse from here, Skibby. That was basically a one hit from Bad
I think our questions were answered
Oh
right
my god.
What route would he go? He wants to win.
My
Delete.
man's dirty.
He's 4-0 now.
Oh man. I mean, he is a Nidalee player. There might be some questions raised. Why would you pick Nidalee in general? But he is definitely a prolific Nidalee player of old. There has been some years where he hasn't looked for the pick at all, but you can see what happens when he gets it. I think he's picked it twice this split and was very successful in the first time he did as well.
Been a massive factor in this game. Assisting every lane, sharing the love around, obviously being incredibly fed himself, but making sure that his teammates find success as well. Ray's very close to completing that Infinity Edge to match the power spike, and there it is. He actually shops and completes with a Zeal online as well, so a huge shop coming out of him. And with the Fiends there as well. Legacy have a lot of power online. Lich Bane also now completed, Rusty. Surely we're looking at a contest for this Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, we have to look at what the Chiefs can do, because we know what Legacy's capable of at this point. They've got 4 kills, all 4 of them are onto their Nidalee, but it's just so much control that is being purchased by those kills as well. Chiefs, they've got item spikes. They're working on their second items, but they have got item spikes. Picking a fight is not the worst decision. They just have to be really careful about how they do it with the comp that they've built. You can't just force by ramming it down and getting a 5v5. This is a good pick.
Oh, Chiefs are fantastic right now. They find a pick and they delete Tapoon. Now they make it a 4v5. Tally jumps in with the hero's entrance, but he will fall victim to death as well. And a lot of that started just by the fact that Chiefs showed their face in mid, forced that Raze flash, and were able to get a response.
Yeah, Topu not having the flash there either makes it an easy pickings for the kick from Crockett. And that's the thing. You don't walk mid where Legacy are and take the 5v5. You probably lose that, to be honest. What you do is use what your comp is good at. You hit the Lee Sin kick, find a pick off on one person, and find your strengths through that. Because then their threat becomes obviously a lot higher. You can see they're able to get the Drake. It's the second of the game. They've equalized kills. Legacy have not won this game yet.
It's well and truly far from being over. And Tally's role in this game, as he's really fallen from that top dive. He's been falling a fair bit behind in this CS, but his role obviously still remains so prevalent in what these team fights can offer. Always going to be a threat to jump in there, but that was really Croc's first showing of what he's really made of, right? What he can really achieve, what he can really make happen, and how we can look to try and get Chiefs back into this one.
Yeah, we know Croc's a beast on his Lee Sin, and it's good once again to see that happening in the best of fives. So hopefully he's able to continue that one through. Give us a good series today. Legacy with a lot to prove still, however. It is their first best of 5 of this year. They're up against the Chiefs. It's the El Clasico. You can never forget that one. It does play into the minds of these players because the organization members will remember, even if this is a whole new roster of 10.
You want the members shift themselves now to that top side. That's what they want to look to keep their eyes on as vision goes down, controlling towards that objective. Raze once again does have the cleanse available, but not having the flash does hurt him a fair bit with all the diving threats that Chiefs present. But he is keeping strong in that mid lane, which has been down to around about half now for the majority of this game.
And they have slowed the game back down. You know, waiting for flash timers is not a bad thing to do if you were Legacy. The flash is not there for Katsura, Korea, CK, or Croc themselves on the Chiefs side. So continuing to farm out these lanes, you know, waiting for that second item spike for Katsura in this game, while 2 is already there for Raze. Respect has to be given while it is needed. The Varus ultimate just goes.
They look for a 1v1. That's actually a good trade there by Katsura. He takes that. He burns out that summoner. Now Chiefs look to try and make something happen, and this is what Chiefs love to do. Summoners or not, they want to force it. They want to make action happen, and Tapoon deletes Croc. Instantly the jungler gone. Chiefs in the driving seat, looking to force something out, but Legacy respond with conviction.
I mean, I said this just before, Skippy. Is that what the Chiefs want to do? Like, do you want to ram your head into a brick wall and just hope it works? You probably want to find the picks, and I think they tried too hard to find the picks in the lane where that is least likely to happen. Now, Legacy, they've started the Baron. Chiefs obviously want to respond to this one. Can they contest?
How does Claire play this one? Where will that Emperor's Divide go out right now? Tally is low, but he survives in the meantime, peeling off towards center in the middle of no man's land. Sapoon survives, receives the Yuumi heal. Raze lives! He is so damn low, but he does not fall down. We don't even see the Emperor's Divide. Every summoner available
he's
for
just
Claire.
healed
The
Tally.
Baron resets. And Legacy, after taking that fight, will look to do this. But bear in mind, Croc has respawned, and if
this is
anyone
delicate.
could ever do this,
No
it could
way,
be
you
close.
can't do this. If he walks over to you, like,
Topmoon's currently playing Zone D. He needs to get there and tank.
They are
I think
so
they've done
low.
it. Yeah, Razor's got it off life still now that he's got the red weapon. They'll be fine. They'll be able to get the Baron. You can see Topoon now just dealing with Croc. If Croc ever got near that pit, that was risky.
His
But they'll
eyes
get
would
the
have lit
Baron.
up like a Christmas tree. He would have been like, this is the dream. A triple kill and a Baron steal. Let's see how it started.
Yeah, we'll see this fight again. Now it's a flash in from Tally. Gets over the wall. I believe he has Nimbus Cloak as well, which is one of the big factors for helping a Galio out to close distance when W slows you down. And Topoon, compliments of a Yuumi, just scrapes on by. And Ray's living with 10 HP mid-dash. It's worth pointing out there as well from Claire, trying to cover the distance and take him down. That was close.
Animation cancelled. It was incredibly close. And these are the fine margins you're dealing with at the top level here in the OPL. Chiefs will fall victim to that Baron acquisition. Find themselves 3k gold down as a result. As now the pressure mounts in mid lane. T1 turret have been sitting so strong for so long, but now finally may fall.
And this is just a whole new caliber of Legacy. You know, the week 10, the super weak Legacy that we saw was insane. Oh, kick in mid.
Here's a kick in mid
Way
right
off.
there. Yumi's going to lock them in place, and lock them in place she does. Babbitt jumps in. Babbitt gets it done. Another pick found for free. Tien is looking to keep that pressure in that side lane like we wanted to see, but this is what we're concerned about, is Legacy finding the kills so that Tien split push accounts for virtually nothing.
Yeah, that kick's really an analogy for the way this game is going right now. Just kicks him sideways. Now turrets break in, mid kills follow. Babip's going to take himself the Mountain Drake as well. And are these turrets in top lane going to be enough to keep Chiefs in it? I think you'll find that if they're able to hold that side lane, the 4v4 will still be too strong.
Wow.
But Tally dies, so...
He finds that 1v1. This is a situation right now.
It won't be able to get anything else from it, but he does break the turrets. The threat increases. Look at Aphelios. They're going to try and hunt. See if they can sniff out where Tian's hiding.
He's on Grump right now.
Yeah, he's being greedy.
He's life leeching himself back up to success with that Vamp Scepter to jump across the wall. Hello, he says. Out comes the Center Cannon, which gives him a second life bar for just a little bit of time. But it only delays the inevitable. Another kill into this man's back pocket. Raze. Absolutely huge at this stage of the game.
They wouldn't walk all the way from the mid lane inner turret to Gromp, would they? They would. He's already dead for it, you know. So it gets punished, try to take down the Gromp. It was some good work. Almost undone there from Tan. You can still see Claire actually trading on the other side of the map, though. As the outer turret buys some time for the Chiefs, they are still going to trade objectives. Could be worse.
Tally the one to respond again, and this is something that you were talking about, you know, not the most ideal sense for a Gallo to be there between the teleport and then his hero's entrance to stack on top of that, but regardless, is the man to be there. Sapoon has been such a threat on the Aatrox right now, so I don't necessarily mind the shot call.
Yeah, we're at a point in this game where Tally's purpose is kind of just dying if team fights happen. If you can keep Yuumi near Aatrox and execute these team fights, then it becomes really hard to deal with. Let alone, you know, having a Nidalee heal on top of it, or having a Nidalee throw a spear now that the Lich Bane and the Zonias are done, and he's just an absolute workhorse dealing damage around the map left, right, and center.
That is for sure. Triple Dark Seal online. The fact that he's only achieved it now says it all, really. He's that fed. Does not seem to matter. Once again, Chiefs threatening pressure in the mid lane, and they do get out Raze Flash. And that seems to be the common factor really in this mid lane. Every single time they sort of show a little bit of face, they're always getting something as a result.
So in a game state like this, and you know, with the composition that the Chiefs have not being very tanky and being behind,
you have to often do the stopwatch check. Which is like, if you think that there is one fight left in the game, or like a really crucial moment coming up, and you're not a tank, you have to have a stopwatch, right? Or you will probably just crumble under the damage of your opponents. TN has one, but nobody else does. And so execution has to be flawless from the Chiefs, as there's not a lot of tanky members, but what there is on the other side of the rift, Skibby, is a boatload of damage.
That there is. Now only inhibitor turrets remain, and it's a scary situation that presents Chiefs. How do they hang on to this one? No objectives are up for a fair bit of time, 90 seconds at least, so they've got time on their side, but map presence is slowly and surely being taken away from them here.
Yeah, they're being bled out at the moment. It's slowly starving them of vision, slowly starving them of control, removing any possibility or hope, pushing in that side lane where TN's going to split so far that he takes 2 waves to even get to a threatening position. And that's time where, Legacy could be doing Baron control, but Baron's not up yet. So what is TN doing is my question.
Yeah, he's collapsed upon 4 members show face. Center Cannon once again coming out to try and find a trade, but Babbitt lives within that octagon. He won't fall down to the left-right jab. Find that pick, make it a 4v5, and set themselves up for success for these lane pushes.
That's a tilt split. There's no other way to explain what he's doing just there. That's a bit of a tilt split. The rest of his team's obviously on the other side of the map. They want to get some pressure around the Baron before it spawns, get some vision control. He has none on his side of the jungle where he dies. Now Legacy, they're threatening the inhibitor.
That they are. That's all that remains between them and the end of this game right now. Chief's base is crumbling. Working their way towards taking this inhibitor down. What do the Chiefs have to defend this one? They would love to force a fight if they can get a pick. They've been hunting for it for the last 10 minutes. And all they're able to achieve tend to be some of the spells instead.
Tally now going to show himself in at top lane, has just been pinged out, so the Chiefs are teleporting bot lane. Actually, it's a really deep flank. This is
Look
a
at that
mega
flank from
force.
Camille. This is going to be a
has
full-on collapse in
teleport.
the bot lane. Tally's just not going to be there. It's going to look to be a 4v5.
TN's a fish out of water right now if his team can't actually get to him and help. Croc's here though, so they are collapsing.
They bought enough time for Tally to rock up to this fight right now. He just walks in with the taunt, disengages that to Camille. Chiefs getting frustrated here, really trying to be creative with their engage routes, but Legacy stands strong as a pack.
Yeah, I mean, they do force the teleport out of Tally, but TN did as well. This Drake, if they're able to get that once again, will deny and delay the soul point, and it'll actually give it to them. So it's not a strict win condition, but it does make the game a lot harder for Legacy to play. And it's also one step closer to you hitting those 3 item spikes. They've got it on Katsuri already. TN, while he is behind, is farming decently well and starts to get those items. And Claire's the big one that you have to look at. We didn't see that, Babbitt. As those items come across, though, the Chiefs at least are scaling to a point where they can maybe match Legacy.
No, have to, because as it stands right now, Legacy have made the bold shot call of let's give this one up for free. We don't really care about it. We've got an open inhibitor on the top side to look to try and take on down. And we've just now completed 3 major components here for Raze. He's got that Bloodthirster online now, complements that with a stopwatch too. So flash or not, cleanse or not. If it was difficult to take him down before, it will be incredibly hard as a result now. They want to set themselves up for a Baron, look for that game-ending push, and show us what they're made of when it comes to this potential team fight here.
Oh, Katsuri ult, they're on.
They are on indeed. Katsuri's forced to flash away, burn double summoners. Once again, out comes the Sen with the cannon, but she gets locked in place. Summoners galore right now. Emperor's Divide going on through. Tapoon just survives for such a long time. He needs a heal, and he'll get a heal. Members flashing forward, flashing away, flashing each and every direction. Legacy, the sure victors in this one from a sustain game alone. Lanes are pushing, and they've got the vision to dictate how they can go for this Baron now.
Yeah, you want to talk about the importance of the stopwatch check? That's exactly why. Topin might be close to that Guardian Angel purchase here as well, but he's getting the Honey Fruit, even though he has the teleport, so he may not be there yet. Legacy, they'll start the Baron. The turn is always possible for them. Tally has Flash, so using the pit as an avenue to bring Chiefs closer is a way they could consider playing this one out, and Raze loses no health while he hits that Baron.
He's tanking it for free right now, but bear in mind, obviously, the shred on his resistances as well as his damage too, so he wants to switch that around to Tally if indeed possible, but let's keep an eye on Croc, because right now it would stand be a 50-50 trades, and that's what I'm sure Legacy do not want to allow, given they're up by 4k at this stage of the game.
Yeah, but look at the wave bot lane and top. You know, the side lane control is belonging to Legacy. The pressure is still theirs, and it's Chiefs that feel pressured to make something happen soon. Can Croc get the kick?
is definitely something you have to look at. Raze has got Flash, so it's a little bit harder to do. But this time being purchased by Legacy is time where they can just reset, get that Guardian Angel for topping we were talking about, go back to the Baron the second someone shows, and Claire's about to.
Croc continues to find vision, scout out the Sonic Wave there. But Legacy have played it fantastically. They've done the dance. They've baited out the attention of the Mims to respond to those side lanes. Teleports now. They want to try and force this fight, Rusty.
Yeah, they have to hold this once again, so that's the teleport gone. Legacy, if they can disengage, that's a big win. They're fighting.
They are indeed. Croc is going to get deleted straight away with the stopwatch going down. He's a non-factor, forced to dash away. Tapoon is low. Tien, bear in mind, is on the flank, but Claire gets tapped! Lips Bane is so damn strong! How does Larry stay alive? He's low, he needs a heal, but he will not find it. Katsuri ensures that everybody goes golden right now. Feline power is very strong in this game. Both Yuumi and Italy making it happen right now. The flank is successful, Tien. Members fall on down, but no Baron is achieved.
It's just two cats in a dream right now for Legacy after that fight. They are able to at least disengage with their lives. Chiefs can say the same, however. As they repel the Baron, they deter a game-ending moment. And that was with Legacy looking to engage on them. The flank's there from top, and he ults. He gets the knock-ups. But the kick from Croc prevents any follow-up from Tally. It's a good ultimate here on the Galio because it's just a big magic shield and ruins Claire's life as it buys time for Babbitt to assassinate him. And I mean, that's the man of the moment, right? Raze put some good work into this. Almost gets Katsuri, was a crit away from it. But then you've got the cats coming through, just getting those assassinations working in tandem.
Yep, they hit you with the emotes. They hit you with the love and luck that you need in a time like this when you're stuck at home. You've got company, and that's what you'll find in this rift as well. That was very close.
But that was close, and that's the thing. Like, we're hitting that point in the game where it is becoming really close in these fights. We're at the point for Legacy. Like, Nidalee is not renowned for team fighting prowess. She can deal serious damage with the spear. She has the heals. Can assassinate her all in a single person, but a dash forwards is usually suicide.
I mean,
it's hard to
around
do.
The bush right now. There's 3k gold that separates these two teams. The lion's share of that money is firmly fixated on just Babbitt alone.
It means that the role and responsibility of Raze is very important, but he has no summoner spells right now, and so it's not the simplest thing to do. To be Raze and to be that perfect player, hit those team fight wins that your team needs you to do.
Well, they want to start it again. Second time the charm. 3 level difference between these junglers. But you still got worried. Croc goes in, he will not steal it away. He stays alive, and now he's forced to disengage. How does Ray find this fight? He doesn't have the stopwatch, he burned it before. Out goes the GA. Miller's down. And is forced to flash away as a response, but look at the Legacy health bosses fluctuate, waiting for that tank shield to come across to keep them topped up and healthy. Katsuri is gone, Raze does the job now. Isles is in the pit, waiting for a target to jump on. He has no one left, and that's the worst case scenario.
The Chiefs just
get an ace.
Almost clean here as well. That's 4 people. They have 4 people alive to push this. They may not have the Baron, they may not have gotten the steal, but they've got a cannon wave, and I think they're just going to try and push to end. And they might just be able to do that.
Long.
Yeah, I think that's it, man. They've got plenty of time here, a few seconds, and actually they are going to potentially... No, they changed their mind, they're just getting the minions in. Yeah, they're going for it.
They are for sure going for a 5k gold difference between these junglers. But it nets for nothing. Chiefs bring the series back to 1-1.
And you want to say from the clutches of defeat here, right? You want to say they brought that back from no man's land. It was close. That Baron, the dance around it happening for minutes, that could have been the difference maker if things just went slightly different. The fight prior, if Legacy were able to, get that win, if Raze flashing forwards using his stopwatch was more successful, they could have just won the game outright. But being able to disengage, buy more time for your team, they get the team fights they're after, and suddenly, Chiefs... they've scaled to the point that they needed to get to beat Legacy.
They get the fight that they're after, and I think really the one that's going to be hurting the most obviously, has to be Babbitt, right? The fact that he was able to find so much success, influence all these lanes, get himself so far ahead, and then to win out the Baron and say, great, we're set up for that win condition now to take that inhibitor and just burn the game out. The dance just proved not to be the play in the end of the day.
Yeah, what it came down to ultimately was just that scaling, hitting those 3 items for the Azir and the likes, and just finding your late game team fighting once they got there, but it was hard to get there.
Well, we are all tied up in this best of 5. Game 3 is after the break, so don't go anywhere.